All right, everyone, live at Chance's house. This is season 1, episode 2. It's actually the first interview, which I'm really excited about. I want to tell you that it is Thursday, May 21st. Today I'm doing my first interview with my good friend, as he would say also, brother from another mother, Rob Ervin. Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm the winner. I'm the first one. Brother, I am doing great. It's we're now in day bazillion of the quarantine, so this is the most hair I've had in a quarter of a century. But other than that, I mean, things are happening. The cats are good. The wife is good. It's going to rain all weekend. But other than that, I think we're doing all right.
I was actually going to ask you about the COVID cut, because I do have a funny story, because I have, as you can tell, I have a COVID cut. And the way it went down was actually quite humorous. I won't get into the whole thing, but I was like, man, there's got to be others that have had to deal with the same thing. And then, of course, there is. If you just Google it, it's everywhere.
Oh, it's a thing. But I have so little hair to begin with that, like, my wife hasn't even offered. Like, I'm just like, no, right now I've been out of work for about 3 months. So my rule is, as we're transitioning to whatever the next version of this is, I will get a haircut when I have a job interview scheduled. And it will be done by a professional, and then we'll be back to abnormal. But my problem is, and people that have known me since I was a kid know this, I have very thick, naturally curly hair, and I showed this off the other day. But I want you to see what my hair does when it gets to this point. It gets real wispy. So I can almost make it connect into a ponytail that's about that long right now. So I really have to, I wake up in the morning and I feel like I can walk out and go, I've created a time machine in my basement. But I'm working on the J. Jonah Jameson phase right now. I've decided that's what this is.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's definitely going to need to be cut, but I'm not in panic mode yet.
So I tell you what, you've done your fair share of interviewing, and you've also done your fair share of interviewing me. And
I have.
That's been really cool. And one of the greatest things that we've shared over the years outside of our friendship is that we found ways to support each other in the causes that we've got and the things that we do. We've supported each other from charitable organizations. You've allowed me to come on your podcasts before, and it's always been really great. Talk to me about 2 things real quick. One, what are you doing? So talk to me about the podcast that you're doing and the things you're involved with. And then maybe you can kind of segue a little bit in what's your interview style like, and kind of how do you approach the whole thing?
That's a great question. First of all, I'm not real used to being on this side of it. So it's a little weird for me to be the interviewee versus the interviewer. So there's really 4 things that involve this. Number 1 are the 2 podcasts, which number 1 and 2. We have the Cheap Popcast, which is about an hour long every Sunday, normally at 5:30 Eastern on the Vocal Now network. We want to send a quick shout out to Vocal, VOKAL Now. They have been the audio video resource for Who Needs Sleep since the beginning. They are our network. That's all about the world of professional wrestling. That's myself, Alex Barnhill, and Don Ford. And then we also have the Clubhouse podcast, which will be celebrating its 10th anniversary in July, which I can't believe. But we had those 3 got me, those 2, and then adding Jen Rome as the lady of the house. And that is normally at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Vocal Now. That's all things pop culture and sports. So usually we segment the sports out, but we've just kind of lumped all the sports together right now just because there's not enough to separate. But that's usually about an hour and a half on Sundays. We also do movie reviews, which will hopefully get up and running once theaters reopen. We've done almost 600 between movie reviews and stage reviews as well. The live theater, as you know, as both of us being musicians, not only is it live music, but live theater has taken a huge hit in the last few months. And there's been some very interesting creative things that Broadway and its people of its ilk have done as well. And then you got the music side of it, where I am the lead singer of a band called Grace Descending that you have been so gracious to come out and do some stuff with us every once in a while. We have officially, as of today, set the time frame to get things up and running again. So we're very excited. 2 weeks from today, we get back together for the first time and start playing. Hopefully, I'm hoping we can start playing out by the end of the summer, but it's going to depend on how things go. We are a Christian rock band.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So tell me about the style.
We kind of call ourselves, it's Christian rock, but it's not the instrumental stuff you hear at Chick-fil-A, which I just realized a couple of years ago, that's what they do. They play like praise and worship music, and it's all instrumental, so you don't realize it. But we classify ourselves as what we call modern Southern rock. So we're very heavily influenced by bands like Third Day and Jeremy Camp, but we also are influenced by bands like Skinner, Three Doors Down, bands like that. We just like playing rock and roll music and worshiping our God, and we'll play anywhere. You know, we were one of the last bands to play at the Prophet Bar before they went into their 1-year remodel, which I'm hoping they're going to be rip-roaring ready to go, because that year comes up next month. And we played churches, we played prisons all over the state of Texas. We just love to play music, and there's 5 of us, and I'm consider myself very, very lucky to be able to play with guys of the caliber that I do, because they just make it so easy, and I can't wait to see the guys. 2 weeks from today, we start rehearsing again, and I can't wait to see them.
That's great. Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, as well, you know that I've got my own, musical things going on, which is kind of the whole idea and the concept that started, which was live at Chance's house. It was just me. And then I thought to myself, okay, well, one, I want this to be sustainable, and I think it could be a lot of fun to do other things, talk to local musicians, talk to regional musicians. I'm actually networking right now with people outside of the state. I've got some friends and bands that I met out in Tennessee. I just connected with someone out in California, all of which I want to include with this whole concept, because
and that's what we have to do, and I love that we live in the time that we do, because if you remember, I mean, you and I have known each other almost a quarter of a century now. Back in the day, you couldn't network. You didn't have the tools that you have now, and the fact that you can record a studio quality album in your garage, literally, when you had to go and pay thousands and hundreds and thousands and hundreds of dollars to do something in a studio, that networking is so much easier to do now, and the reach that you have is it's immediate, which I love, and you've been able to do with every step.
The guy that I connected with yesterday, as a matter of fact, took a shot on a sponsored ad through Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Just took a shot. I mean, guy doesn't know me from anything. Had a 15-second preview of the song. He liked it. He listened to it, and he followed me. Then he started going through my Instagram page, and he's like, whoa, this guy's doing some stuff. What's going on? So he direct messaged me, and he was like, hey, this is amazing. I'm a musician. I'm an artist, independent. I'm trying to do stuff too. Would you be willing to share some ideas? I'm like, yeah, what's going on? And we start talking. Okay, so now day 2, and we're talking about our musical styles. We're sharing music. He's a fascinating person. He's got great music. His name is Xavier Valdez, as a matter of fact. I'm going to talk to him, hopefully get him on the show as well. But it's like you told me last week. I'm going to segue. You're going to see how this works. You told me last week, he's like, oh my God, dude, there's this band. You need to check them out. Well, think about it. In the 80s, when we were kids, how did we do it? We'd be like, dude, did you see that video on MTV? Or, hey, did you hear this? Or I just got this record. That was our advertising. And
it was only people that you directly knew. It was like, if I went to your house, or if I mailed you a letter, and God forbid it would take 3 weeks to get to you, whereas now it's instantaneous.
It is instantaneous, but it's very similar though, because I'll tell you, even for me as an artist, I can't just go on to Instagram and type up a post and go, hey, go follow me, or hey, go check out my song. It doesn't work that way, because you're missing the introduction. You're missing the part. You're missing the handshake. You're missing the hi, how you doing? Or you're missing the whole idea of, hey, are we two people that have a commonality that we can actually see things in a similar way, even if we have dissimilar tastes? If I come to you and you know me, I'm going to trust you, or you're going to trust me. So when you told me last week, we're going to talk about this, the Black Moods.
Oh, so great.
You said, you got to check this band out. And I'm like, I'm going to go check them out. And the reason why is because I know you so well that we have similar tastes. But even if we didn't, I still trust your opinion, because you are into pop culture. You are into music. You are on the scene. And I think vice versa. If I said, hey,
absolutely, I could say the same thing. I mean, there's bands that even when you and I first met, where it was even before original music was even a concept between us, we met hosting karaoke shows and DJing together. So there was always that crossover of, hey man, I just stumbled on this thing today, check it out. And then either we ended up started putting them into our karaoke rotations or putting them into our DJ sets too.
Absolutely. So that really kind of captivates that segue to talk about this. So what new music are you listening to right now? Let's talk about that.
Well, we talked about the Black Moods. They're very heavy. The single Belladonna, they just released their brand new album, Sunshine, last week. I haven't gotten through the whole thing yet, but I downloaded it the day it dropped because they're one of these bands that I haven't heard anything I haven't liked. I stumbled on them probably a little over a year ago on the Bob and Tom show. I'm a huge fan of the Bob and Tom show, have been since college. I mean, I first heard of them in the fall of '91. They had them on. They did some incidental music for them. I don't know how they stumbled on them because they're out of Phoenix. But then they had them in studio one day, and the guys were just amazing. They're amazing musicians. Like, Tom asked them just to play something on the spot, and they just made something up, and it worked. They actually opened last year for Whitesnake, which anytime you get an opportunity to open for David Coverdale, you open for David Coverdale. And I don't know, kind of a segue, kind of a sidetrack here. I don't know if you heard the big announcement from him a couple of weeks ago. He is working with Rhino Records, releasing 3 compilation albums over the next year. The first one comes out next month, and it's called Red, and it's all remastered. All the remastered Whitesnake and his solo stuff. Wow. So Red is all of the rock and roll stuff.
Coverdale Page?
I don't know if it's going to be in the Coverdale Page stuff or not, but I know he said specifically his solo stuff and his Whitesnake stuff. The White, it's not called the White Album, just White. So you got Red, which is the rock and roll stuff. White's going to be all the power ballads.
Okay.
And then and that's going to come out, I believe, in October. And then in early next year, they're going to do blues, plural. One of the things he said is they found a remastered version of Still of the Night. Mm-hmm. And basically his words were, "We found an ending." Because, as you know, Still of the Night's like an hour and a half long. But I'm excited for those. But back to the Black Moods, they were actually supposed to open for Metallica on their summer tour this year. So that kind of gives you a feel for who they are. They're just a straight up rock and roll band, and I love it. They're a 3-piece. And a very, very dear friend of mine who I turned them on to because she saw them as they opened for Whitesnake last year because she's a huge Whitesnake fan, Heather Fogelman, whom I adore. She actually met them backstage, and she said as humans, they're amazing too. So that, to me, that adds to it. And to know they had a brand new album, they actually did a album release party on Saturday night on Facebook Live, which is available to go check out as well. And it's just, I love it. It's right. I can't wait till they come back local because I'm going to see them live.
Wow, that's really cool. So let me know when that happens because I'd like to go with that.
You're the first call I'm making. You kidding me? I was bummed when you went and I got to go to Tonic and you weren't there a couple of years ago.
I know. I saw that too. I posted. I was thinking about that, and I played. If you could.
I know. I saw it as soon as you posted it last night. You kidding me? And I mean, when they played Mountain, I was like, Chance. I was so upset that you weren't there because actually to hear that song live, I was like, I never thought because that's my favorite Tonic song ever.
Yeah,
is Mountain, and to hear them play it live, I never thought I'd hear them play it live. And in a way, the Black Moods remind me a little bit of them because they've just got that, we're going to go out there and we're going to play rock and roll music and we're going to do what we do and you're going to like it because this is what we do.
No, absolutely. So kind of wrapping things up here, I want to talk about 2 things. And as you know, you've seen it, and you and I have talked about this because it's something that's really important to me. And I know you've watched a few of the first incarnations of Live at Chance's house when it was just me and a guitar and doing whatever. But I'm really proud of something that I got to do. And you and I have talked a little bit about this in regards to charitable organizations in North Texas. Mm-hmm. And during especially this, time with the COVID-19 and everything has been going on, I was trying to figure out how can I do something to give back? What can I do? And it wasn't even me that did anything. I just had an idea. And you're going to be talking about an idea that you're involved with here in a minute, but I had an idea.
That's how it starts.
All of a sudden, I had a lot of really amazing people, mostly my friends, but even some people that aren't my friends outside of my network that came on. And for the month of April, I was very fortunate to help out the North Texas Food Bank, and we raised $1,500. A
great organization. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to North Texas Food Bank, isn't it like $1 provides 3 meals?
It does. So
if you think about that, you did the feeding of the 5,000, sir. So,
amazing.
I mean, that's huge. That's great. And I was so proud to see the numbers you were putting up. And that warmed this old man's heart.
And it was just from the kindness of the people that I networked with. It ended up not being anything about me. And I told everyone that I wanted to, look, I'm not taking away from musicians right now. I'm very fortunate. I still have a job right now and I'm working. So I'm not doing this to say, here's my PayPal and here's my stuff and pay me. That's going to be down the road when I do live shows. I'll save that for the events that we're playing when people can come and they want to pay for something, right?
And that's kind of the hard thing too, that people don't understand. It's, they just see musicians doing things and it's like, it's not always about us. Right. One of my big philosophies is a blessing if you can't share it, and the fact that you're able to do that, you are an audiophile, make no mistake. If people don't know you well enough, like, you're not going to put something out there that doesn't pass your, for no pun intended, muster. And so when you do that thing, the people are going to come see that thing because that's the reputation that you've built over almost 3 decades. Yeah.
And I wasn't surprised, but I was, as it kept building. The first one I did, we got like $240 and I was like, that's more money than I've made playing by myself as a solo gig for 4 hours.
You ain't lying.
And I was like, and the fact that we were able to do that and give it out to North Texas Food Bank was amazing. So then I was like, let's do it again. And week 2 came around and week 3 came around and then I had audio issues and it was horrible and the whole thing was trashed. And I was like, I'm going to put the link up anyway. And then we had another great week. It was like, it didn't even matter about me. It was just the fact the word started spreading.
But let me tell you why that worked. Because you're not afraid to show the flaws. And that, to me, like, a lot of times when I see stuff like that endears me more because it shows me that the person doing that video is not afraid to show vulnerability.
Sure.
That's why, like, when we do shows, whether it's Grace D, whether it's the podcast, whatever it is, and, we always talk about with the big show, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, I'm sure, you don't have to see the hamster running in the wheel, but you also have to not be afraid to say, maybe I don't even want to say I'd like to have that one back, because I want you guys to understand that this is always a work in progress. This is not always polished. And I think that's why that made people endear themselves a little bit more to you than maybe you thought they would. That level of vulnerability is important.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. And I appreciate the kind words, Rob. Yeah, that's kind of the whole point. And so as we're talking about this, it warms my heart that I'm able to help someone. And
yes,
we'll talk about the next thing, which is another thing that I'm involved with, which clearly you're involved with.
A little bit.
That's near and dear to my heart. And I've played solo. Bad Karma's played there. Just this last time around in December, RDO, Red Dirt Outlaws, got an opportunity to play for Who Needs Sleep. Talk to me about this wonderful organization.
So we tell this story quite a bit, and our mutual friend and the guy that, if I didn't know you, I wouldn't know him.
Right.
Devin Pike, who is, I call him the Kevin Bacon of Dallas-Fort Worth geek conventions. He is responsible for at least 10% of my friend list. Devin and I have known each other for almost a decade now. And he called me in November of 2017 and said the most dangerous thing that Devin Pike can say to any of us, and that is, I have an idea. And Devin is now in his 4th battle with throat cancer, and we pray for him every day. But he's the kind of guy that he's going to take a negative, he's going to turn into a positive. So in about 5 weeks, we put together a 36-hour streaming telethon, and we split the money between the Lymphoma and Blastoma Ward at Cook Children's in Fort Worth and Cancer Support Communities North Texas. Originally, the concept is we're going to do this and we're going to see what it does. About 4 weeks after that, and it took place right before New Year's Eve in 2017. About a month later, he called me and he said, you want to do it again? And of course, yeah, we're going to do it again. I mean, let's do it. I mean, if we can do it, we can do it. And, Vocal was back off of Mockingbird and 35 at that point. They had the facility. They were willing to donate the time and the manpower and the facility. So let's do it. And so we did it again in 2018 over Labor Day weekend. And that was at the point where we started doing other things too. Last year we did Who Needs Ink, which was supposed to be the end of April, but of course everything's done what it's done. But Godfather Inc., who would for an entire day did $40 flash tattoos, and we got half the money. We raised over $900 that day.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again as soon as we get back to abnormal, because I've got another tattoo I have to get. So, but this year we're going to do it again. We have actually been working with Music City Mall in Louisville to host the event, which is probably it's the biggest one we've done yet, and they are so on fire to help us out. It's going to be the first weekend in December, which I believe is the 5th and 6th.
Okay. If
I did my math right. There's some really great things. I know that you've already got your time slot locked in because you've been with us every year, and you know we are so honored that you guys take the time, whether it's RDO, whether it's Karma, whether it's just you. We had Brian's group on last year doing some blues for us. Delta Rage was great. And I am actually the president of the board of directors, so I kind of have some skin in the game here. But our beneficiaries are amazing people. Whenever a friend of ours, Mark Walters, does his show, he lets us have a table at his shows, and we also sponsor the cosplay contest. Hunter the Battle Cat is trying to invade. He's going to start trying to walk on my keyboard here. But it's something that's very, very near and dear to me because it directly affects us. You know, my father lost his life a little over 5 years ago, but he was also one of the 1% that makes it 10 years past pancreatic cancer surgery. He made the 10 years, and then about 3 months later, it came a knocking. Took him in 5 weeks. And so that's the tattoo I have in the back of my left shoulder is the bat symbol, because I'm Batman obsessed, with a purple ribbon around it for pancreatic cancer. And I am also the only person that has made it through all 36 hours, all 3 years without sleeping. I don't recommend it in your mid 40s. When we were 22, 23, 24 and the world was our oyster, you know, that whole Ric Flair philosophy of dance all night and dance a little longer, we could do it back then. Man, it's a struggle now, but that's the one weekend of the year I say I'm not Bruce Wayne, I'm actually Tony Stark, because I am the Iron Man. Yeah. And now I feel like I have a title to protect. I don't know, it's just weird, but it's something that we're passionate about, and we love. When we bring people on to tell their stories, you know, you guys did an amazing deal in year 2 where you had people with you and you brought them on during your set to talk about their stories. To this day, that I think of that a lot, and it just, you know, it just hits me where I live, because you get it. Like, I'm always fascinated when we play gigs, and I know you have these stories too. You know, you and I are workhorses. Our work ethic is, you know, we're hardcore, you know, and when we go to play gigs, everybody has their role. But as the vocalist, I'm very, you know, I'm going to help Jordan bring his drum set in. And then when he's done, I'm going to make sure Jay's got his bass on stage. And then I'm going to make sure that Tracy's got his keys and his guitar set up. And then when you hear these stories about, like, my singer doesn't do that, or you see these memes of, like, you know, the lead singer and what they do, I'm like, I can't sit around while the guys. Now, there's been times they've been like, Rob, I'm good, leave me be, which is fine. Sure. But you and I are both in that, cut from that same cloth of, you know, we got to get everybody set up so we can be on time for the downbeat, to stop on time, to get off the stage on time, and to help the next band on if there's a band after us. And we put that same level of energy into Who Needs Sleep, because, you know, we want to make sure that it's the best thing it can be. And you were invaluable, especially in the 2019 big show when, you know, we were in there sound testing and everything the day before. You know, if I didn't have you come by and help me run checks on all those DI boxes and everything, I don't know that everything would have worked fine, because I wouldn't have been able to do that. Yeah. So you know, I've always said that what they call the lead singer syndrome, I've never understood it, because a band is a group. You're a team, and everybody has to not only pull their weight, but you have to help the other guys pull theirs, because you have to, not only giving respect to your band, but you're giving respect to the band that was on before you and the band that's going to be on after you, always.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, well, unless we're signing autographs, let's just be clear.
Well, you are kind of a big deal. Like, Whenever I'm signing an autograph, there's usually a tab involved. I don't know how that works, but
no, I think about that a lot too, and I agree. I hear that all the time. And you see the Facebook memes out there, especially, whatever it's happening. But there are a lot of those. But I agree with you. I mean, we have to do it together, otherwise it's just not going to work. And it's so much easier when everyone's doing something together and everyone's pulling their weight, and instead of
and it makes the experience of the show better too.
It does,
because everybody's not rushing. You know what I mean? Like when everybody's helping everybody get set up, by the time you get to sound check and by the time lights go down, everybody's in a better place because we're all relaxed. I don't feel like, I was holding everybody up because I was setting my stuff up. No, everybody was helping me. So we're all in this thing together, especially when you've got people on the talent level that we tend to be able to be honored enough to play with.
Absolutely.
It's mind-blowing every time I play.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for watching today's first interview live at Chance's house with Rob Ervin. And we're going to be setting these up hopefully weekly. I'm going to try and get the next one, hopefully episode 3 is going to be with Mr. Devin Pike himself. We'll check in on him and see how he's doing and his take on music and Who Needs Sleep and all the other things we got going on here at North Texas. Because first and foremost, this is a local show. But it's also public. It's going out to others, and we're going to, find our way out to more regions and more states, and hopefully it's going to, grow exponentially, which we would like to see. Rob,
and if you're gassed at some point, you need somebody to do the interviews, you just call me and let me know. That's what I'm here for,
Absolutely.
And I'm looking for the time when the three of us can all talk together about what's going on. And we want to make sure that we plug Devin stuff before you have him on every Monday night and Thursday night at 9:00. That's Central, so 10 Eastern, universalremote.tv. He hosts an online game show twice a week, and it is so much fun. And if you win, you get to be the smartest person on the internet for a few days.
Absolutely.
And
it's on Twitch and Facebook.
Twitch and YouTube.
He's doing Twitch and YouTube. Okay.
Twitch and YouTube. Yeah. Twitch. I tend, when I play, I'm usually on Twitch because Twitch has a little bit better of a reaction time. But there's a bunch of people on both, and everybody's great, and we have a great time. And Devin works really, really hard to get that thing up and running. So I want to make sure I plug that for him.
Absolutely. All
right.
We're
looking forward to having you in studio very, very soon.
I'm excited about that. You get the final word, sir. What say you?
I just want everybody one of my philosophies is be the light, fight the darkness. I know there's a lot of it around right now. And then we start transitioning out of everybody being medical experts into being political experts. Just remember, just because somebody's belief system is different than you doesn't make them a bad person. Engage in intelligent and respectful, if you're going to have debate, intelligent and respectful conversation. Be the light, fight the darkness, love each other.
I don't think you could have ended it in a better way. Rob, I appreciate you. I love you, brother. And
I love you too, brother. Day. This was an honor, and I can't wait to do it again.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. All right. We're going to take a short break, everyone, from live at Chance's house while I get set up, because I think I'm going to play some tunes, and then we're going to get back to it right after this. Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.